Hi, everyone. This is Ruth Theresa with One Inspiring Woman. And tonight I'm excited because I've got some students in the house and they are live. So we have Tina.
Hi.
And we have Alex.
Hi.
So we are excited. They're going to be asking me questions, kind of advanced students asking the teacher questions. Now, isn't that wrong? Isn't that just wrong? So let's get started. I'm super excited tonight. But if y'all have some questions along with what they've asked, please make sure that you do that. Let me do my promo real fast and we will get started. Okay, everybody, I am so excited. If y'all are joining us online, make sure you say hi. If you have any questions that go along with what my advanced students are asking me, make sure that you post your question. Make sure it's a clear question. And are we ready to get started over there?
We are ready.
We are ready. Yay. Okay, here we go.
Okay, so our first question is, are we still being affected by the last eclipse? And if so, how?
Eclipse energy is a lot of people only think about it during that one time frame, like maybe like a few days before to maybe a week or two after. That's kind of like, oh, the eclipse just happened, which is totally incorrect. Hi, Miss Kathy. Not actually, the eclipse energy stays with us for about 6 months. Now you have the top of it, like the peak of it, and it stays really, really, really high for about anywhere from like 2 to 4 months. And then it starts to go down gradually. And really only a few days before the next eclipse does it go to zero. So it stays with us for a long period of time. Now, I will also kind of add like that quirky thing is that we've had eclipse in the Taurus Scorpio line, and our nodes of our moon are about to change, and so now it's about to go into Aries and what's the other one? Aries and something else, and so it's going to be changing. This new kind of like it's going to be switching. So what we've had in eclipse energy is not going to be the same as what we have later on this year.
Oh, okay.
And so it kind of hits different areas of our life.
Okay.
So everything planets do, everything our moon does is kind of bring up stuff so you can heal it and work through it and keep going.
Okay. All right.
What type of communication issue?
During this time, like with the eclipse energy?
With the eclipse energy.
I would probably because you've got like Taurus and Scorpio. So Taurus is all about things that you value. Basically, Taurus is always asking you, what do you value? Taurus itself values like beauty, calmness, material goods, you know what I'm saying, like calmness, kind of that sort of energy. But I will tell you, Scorpio loves to pull up things from the underworld, like let's bring this up from the past. So things that you're like, oh, I really like this. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I don't have enough money, or this is what I wanted last year, but I didn't have enough money, or money was tight, or I was trying to do this. So Scorpio is all about like not super deep stuff, but it's bringing up the old stuff so you can kind of like set new intentions on that.
Okay, so if someone is experiencing communication issues or blockages, what should they say to their guide this time in this astrological?
Okay, so what I would say is kind of really to clear up what you've been like communication issues is both y'all are advanced students, so y'all have learned a lot of the words, like really good, powerful words, like removing words like want or need. Just get rid of those. Those are not going to be able to be very clear. Now, one of the things I will tell you that's kind of like a secret kind of thing. So creator energy, listen very closely, is so positive. He is unable to hear your no. So when you say, I don't want to have an accident, I don't want to have an accident, I don't want to have an accident, what does he hear you say? I want to have an accident. I want to have an accident. So does that make sense? That not, you might as well not even put it in there. So what you need to do is flip those words around. I choose to drive safely, and I choose to know that the other drives around me are driving safe as well. So when things instead of using these little low energy words, use high energy words and upgrade them as much as you can without using words. If someone says like, can we have lunch tomorrow? And you're like, my schedule is packed. You can say, tomorrow is a day that I'm very busy and I would love to. Can't do it, but I'm saying it in a very positive way. Can we schedule for next week? Or can we schedule for sometime in the next 2 the communication? So when something comes up, make sure that you're getting clear communication, because if you're having clear communication, every relationship is an equal sign. If you're clearly communicating, then the other people around you can also clearly communicate.
I don't think I've ever heard you explain it like that. You've explained it with the word. That's really interesting.
Like it's like you just went, like on the TV, like there's no words coming out. So when you start saying, I don't want this to start out this way, or I don't want that, he's just like, I want this. I want this. I want to get off on the wrong foot with this person. I want to, saying like, I want to feel this with this person. When you're saying, I don't want to start out with the wrong foot with this person. I want to start out positively with this person, or I want to get on this great kind of energy with other people. That's the clear.
Okay.
Thank you. Tying into that, what would be the difference between, let's say, emotions like jealousy or envy, and how would you address those feelings or that type of communication with someone if you were to sense it?
Or envy for someone else, what I would first do is check my own energy. Am I sending out the energy to someone else to make them feel jealous? And if I go, I really wasn't saying it that way. Does it make sense? Like if I were to say, oh my gosh, I got a new set of angel cards. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. And you were like, ooh, I'm saying I'm super. Makes sense? Like I would clear that up. Like if it's me, then I would say, I apologize to you that I got something that you really wanted or desired in your life. So I am going to clear that up, because I would never want to create something in you that I wouldn't want in me. And then, but if it's not me and it's only them, then I would say more like, I apologize that you feel jealous, or I feel jealousy coming off of you when I said this. When I said, oh, I got a new shirt today or something like that, that's when I would say, you know what? I apologize that what I said brought you feel this way. Does it make sense? Like clearing out the communication, because I wouldn't want someone else. Remember, every relationship is an equal sign. We want to make sure we clear that up. So let me say hi to a couple of people. I've got Natbug on. I've got Anna on. I miss you. Should be in class. She's so sweet, and she's got some abilities.
Going back to what you were just saying. So, what about like our signs right now? Is jealousy playing into the current astrological signs?
It could be. I think as of the 6th, we have Pluto starting into pre-shadow energy. And so that could bring up some jealousy, because that could be like bringing up stuff from the under and everything else. And some people are more sensitive. So even if it's in pre-shadow, like it hasn't even gone into full retrograde yet. Hi, Miss Luna. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like some of us are just way, way, way more sensitive in this area. So they may be, or it could be something from their world, like something about them. It's bringing up that energy with them.
Okay.
What suggestions do you have for starting new relationships or new projects? And how would you communicate that? Let's say if you're getting introduced to like a new role and you want to start off on the right foot.
So I have a lot of people that have been talking to me about like new businesses, new startups, writing new books. What I will say is one of the most important things that you can ever understand, and listen to my heart with this, every relationship, even if it's just an acquaintance at work, it's the coffee lady downstairs. Every relationship you are in is an equal sign. You bring to the table. how you communicate. So if you walk in and you go, oh my gosh, I feel like something's wrong or something like that, I need to check my energy. I don't need to check everybody else's energy. I need to check my energy. So if I walk in a room and go, oh my, I got the wrong, like something's wrong here. No. I need to check my energy. So I would keep checking my energy as I meet and greet, because once you start that relationship, we want to make sure that equal sign and positive back and forth communication. Because like when you start a new job, you're like, please show me, that sort of thing. So I want to make sure that everybody's wanting to communicate with me and I'm setting that energy really well. And when they ask me questions, I'm going to make sure that I'm not overstating, like, let me have like a 5-hour conversation with you about how I parked my car backwards and like whatever it is. Like, I'm going to open up, but I'm not going to be like, here, let me tell you my whole freaking life story kind of thing. Like, let me tell you about my life. You want to make sure that you're having that clear communication with them.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so a little bit of a shift. Does the moon make people mimic its behavior? And what are some examples?
Kind of mimic its behavior. I will say some people are very tied into the moon, and I will say really where you're going to find that a lot is what you've really got to understand is you need to understand the moon. Like, does it make sense? Like, instead of saying you have emotions, the moon has your emotions. So it's one of those, what sign the moon is in, what phase the moon is in, and how to kind of work through all of that energy. So it's almost like everything you do is blanketed by the moon's energy. Does that make sense? So if the moon is in full moon, we already know what full moons, it's all about releasing. But then if it's in the sign of Aries, that's going to add. Then it's going to, like every sign that it goes into is going to change how it feels. So if you are very sensitive to the moon energy, you need to understand the moon energy. Does that make sense? Like, that's for you.
Would that be mostly
some of them are, some of it comes in with psychic, like that you develop psychic abilities. Some of them are really moon interest and everything else. Now I have that with the sun. I am like, so the way you are with the moon is the way I am with the sun. Now, as it changes signs and changes all that kind of stuff, and even if we move out in certain, you know what I'm saying? Because around on Earth, we have an elliptical orbit around the moon, around the sun. And so when we're going around, when we're further out, I feel depressed. I don't feel like, ooh, it's like I can feel the I want to go back, everything else. But if I'm really, we're close in orbit, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like happy, and you know what I'm saying? It's like, whoa, I'm happy. So I'm very affected by the sun. You just happen to be very affected by the moon. Now, I will tell you that one of the things that's secret about Alex is he is very affected by Pluto. In your natal chart. Does it make sense? Like, figuring out your natal chart is really important. And so the more you understand about, and I guess the basics for a natal chart is if someone went out the moment that you were born, and someone went out and like took, and it's going to tell you how each of those planets connect into you, and what sign they were in, and how you're going to be more like open or energetic with certain signs than other ones. Like some signs it's like, whatever.
Okay.
I've seen it's kind of like multiple planets in one of two sections of their houses.
Like yeah, right.
What would that signify, or what? It just depends on how.
An astrologer. I do know an amazing astrologer. So if you ever want that name and number and anybody, I will send you to her. But one of the things is usually the higher energy, the more blank spots you have, the more times you've already been here and cleared that. It's kind of like, I checked off that. And I'm going to say it this way, just because I'm like, we're at the end of the school year and stuff like that. It's kind of like when you graduate from high school, like I checked out with does it make sense? Like I've done all of those things. I've checked out with this. So it's the same thing. Like I've already done like, house number off. Box number 6, I've already done that. So it's like
And do you have any information over Chiron?
one of my favorite little planets, and it kind of goes between, like, some people consider it a asteroid, like a large asteroid into a dwarf planet. It is actually smaller than Pluto, so it's one of those, like, it's a good size, but it's not huge. But I will tell you, and so kind of the basics of the story, and I don't remember all of it, is like he had to give up his magical powers to heal himself. And so whenever you have like this wounded healer energy, we're playing basketball and you hurt your knee, if you fell down, this happened, you had a car accident or something else, that's the energy you're going to connect into. Now, also, as Chiron moves, just like everybody else, he moves through the zodiac sign like everybody else. And he literally, I want to say like 3 or 4 days ago, moved into the sign of so far out. That little pie thing is he's going to be in that sign for quite a while. And so he's going to be in the sign of Aries. So he's going to be bringing things up that are based in that sign of Aries. Anything else you want to know about Chiron? He's one of my friends. We talk all the time.
Chart.
There are several asteroids, and sometimes you have line like what planets or what asteroids they use, because there are several asteroids that could be, not always, depending on what style astrology they're using, could be on your chart.
Is Chiron in the asteroid belt between us?
But he's on the farther side, like he's on the outside of the asteroid belt.
He's on the other side of the sun?
He's on like the belt, he's on the outside of the belt.
He's on the outside of the belt towards Mars.
Yeah, he's out there.
Okay. So then he's picking up a lot of Mars energy, right?
He's faster than Mars, I think.
Oh.
If I remember correctly, I think he's faster than Mars.
Okay. So we are coming up to a new moon. And so we've been talking about the moon, we've been talking about these celestial bodies. How does the new moon affect people's emotion?
Sometimes, like, a new moon is all about new starts, new beginnings, new, all the new coming in. So you really want to amplify that. And a lot of times, especially people that have like ADHD, that, you know what I'm saying, like, I want to really go fast. So a lot of times, like, they're ready to start something, and then they realize, like, wait, I'm not finished with the last full moon, so I need to go and clear out some stuff out. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought I could just throw this all in my car, but I didn't clean it out. So now I have to go clean out my car so I can put all the stuff in there. So that's kind of where people, like, giving yourself a heads up as it moves closer to that new moon phase. Like, am I working? Does that make sense? Kind of like, have I cleaned this out so I can let this go?
So I was just thinking now, so being like, I don't know why it popped into my head, like in relationship with the moon, like as it goes through its phases, is it like pulling things out of you? What your spirit guides want, or what's best for you at that time?
Usually, I would say what it's pulling out of you is what sign it's in.
Oh, okay.
That's what's
right.
okay.
Yeah.
So the moon kind of goes into different phases, and it's the same phases all the time.
Right.
And then sometimes too, if you're really emotionally connected to the moon, one of the interesting things is, if, say, like, I don't even know what sign the new moon's going to be in, but whatever sign it's in, whatever planets are also in that sign can also affect the moon as well and affect you. So so we were just talking about going into Aries, that can also affect the moon. So then you could have some like wounded healer stuff come up when the design.
Makes sense.
So then it's kind of like knowing where all the planets are helps.
That makes a lot of sense from the last.
And just so anybody online, if y'all have any questions about any of this, any crazy upper level questions, kind of the fun stuff, I'm enjoying this. This is kind of fun and exciting for me. But if y'all have any questions along the same lines, emotional stuff, like please join in, ask your questions. I will definitely talk to my gurus over here about it. Okay, what's my next question?
Discussing the moon, what does it mean when it's void of course?
Okay. So as the moon, and think of it as a pie chart, kind of like if we put it in a pie chart. So if the moon is in this section, it's in the sign of Aries. And then it's going to go void of course. It's going to be out of that sign, but before it gets to the next sign,
It's kind of in limbo.
it's in that limbo land. So it's kind of like it was here and now it's here. Or it was in Virgo and now it hasn't quite Libra. So it's kind of like in the middle. It's kind of like, it's almost like if you own property together. Does it make sense? Like my foot is over here in Virgo and your house is over here in Libra, and he's not quite out of my property, but he's not quite in your property. Does it make sense? Like he's like right in the middle, kind of straddling the thing. And it happens very often. It happens, I want to say like every couple of days or so.
Mhm.
It's very quick.
I was surprised at how often it happened. I thought it was a more like pronounced, but it's a cycle.
It's a cycle and how it affects you. So it's kind of, I would say, similar to Mercury in retrograde. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So how you connect with that, it's almost like a little bitty moon in retrograde kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there are certain things, if you're really emotionally tied into them, where someone who's like, didn't even know it was there, I don't have any connection to it, don't worry with it. Does it make sense? Like it's not going to affect you that way.
So I've noticed different subjects that come up that deal with like the underworld. I've noticed a lot of documentaries that are like featured right now, and it's like exposing things about people or just different subjects. Does that have a lot to do with Pluto and it being with the US specifically?
Well, it does. So basically, the U.S., what we consider technically, went into its Pluto return. And a country can 74 years.
Mhm.
So unless you plan on living 274 years, you're never going to see the Pluto come back in the same sign you were born in. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Now, every year, what sign were you born in, Alex?
Capricorn.
Okay, so every time, instead of saying it was your birthday, we could say you're having your Capricorn return.
Oh.
Does that make sense? Okay, so it's like you've gone all the way around through all the other signs, and now you're back in Capricorn. So, but Pluto's so far out there. I think he spends like 8 to 12 years in each sign. So he's way, 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 way out there. And as he moves very slowly. So what happens is Pluto was in the sign of Capricorn. Okay. And now he's officially moved into the sign of Aquarius. But just like we were talking about the moon, when he was in Capricorn, he's here. Okay. And then he moves into the next sign, which is Aquarius, right? But he's, oh man, just like creeping and crawling around. So he's like way out there. So he goes into Aquarius, but then, it's time to go in retrograde. So then he's going to back up. So he's going to back up out of Aquarius back into Capricorn. Then it's like time to get out of retrograde. So let's go the other direction. So now he starts going and he's moving through the signs, through the degrees, out of Capricorn into Aquarius again. And then he's going to move and he's going to be moving ahead in Aquarius for a while. And then it's like, it's retrograde time. So he's going to back all the way back up. He's going to do this time and he's going to do it next year. And then he'll be fully in Aquarius for the next.
Themes will keep coming.
Right.
up.
And so Capricorn energy is what?
Success, or like
Okay,
they strive for career.
People that have been striving for career in Capricorn that were doing that didn't succeed. So if you're talking about the United States government, we tried this program and it failed. We tried this and it didn't work. We tried whatever it is, whatever that thing is, and it didn't work for us. So we failed in that area. So it's going to keep coming up like, Mr. Senator, Mrs. Senator, whatever it is, like you put this program together and it flopped. It didn't work. And so every time we get back in that sign, it's going to come back up. Here we go. Show us again. That's what Pluto does, is show me where you made a mistake. Show me where you did something wrong. Now, in Aquarius energy, Aquarius is kind of that, my hippy dippy sign. It's one of those loves change, loves to change their mind. And they're like, oh, you want to go here? Let's go there. You want to go this way? Let's go this way. It's kind of like, so it's kind of showing you like when we haven't been changing things that we wanted to change, but we didn't change correctly. When we should have gone with the flow or held our ground. Like, does that make sense? So that's what is going to be coming up in Aquarius energy. So it's kind of like, oh, interesting.
And
Does that make a
Pluto's
lot more?
It does, but it's also doing that in your life too, right? Showing you where you.
Right.
Yeah.
So the further out the planet is, the more it affects everybody.
Right.
Not just the United States,
Right.
not just Germany, not just England, not just. Now, the closer they are into Earth, Venus, Mars, Mercury, and everything else, it's kind of more pointing to us. Now, it's not that it can't affect a whole country or continent or whatever else. It's more likely to show one or two people that side.
Okay, can we discuss what to look for, what to look forward to for the rest of the year and into 2024?
Okay, so we have like just under 4 minutes left. So let's do some cards.
Yeah.
So let's do, okay, so for July, the card I get is Truth and Integrity. So this kind of goes with, there's a lot of people starting new stuff and new ventures in their life. So Truth and Integrity is how you should show up when you first go. Does that make sense? Like, how do you show up in your world? Talking about the truth, talking about your integrity. How are you going to do that? Dealing with people honestly, openly. And when something in you doesn't feel right, trust it. Trust that feeling. Like, every time I'm around Joe Schmo, like something's coming up. So I'm going to go check my energy to see if it's me. Just like we're talking about the jealousy. Like, is it in me or is it his energy? Maybe it's something that Joe Schmo himself is dealing with. And so when I go check my energy and kind of go to the bathroom and kind of like, just let me, do I have any jealousy coming up, or do I have any energy that's coming up that would be similar to what he's showing me? And if it's not, it must belong to him. So when I'm around him, because y'all are advanced students, y'all know this, I'm going to wrap his energy.
Yeah.
Every time I'm around him, I'm going to wrap his energy. And that doesn't mean that it's bad. It's just pushing his negative energy back to him. I'm not going to do anything else. So if we go into August, this is all about friendships. And these are new friendships made. Now, one of the things that's important to understand is when you meet someone new, everybody should start. Okay. So in acquaintance, how do you treat those people? If you're nice to them, you say hi, how's it going, that sort of thing. You might remember their spouse's name. You might remember their dog's name. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're going to be nice, but you're not going to be like hanging out with them, having a beer after work or whatever else. But once they start out in that acquaintance phase, then they can move into the friendship phase.
Right.
And friendship, how do you categorize friendships? What do you do with your friend? Does it make sense?
Right.
Now, then you might have like friend, good friend, great friend. I have it all categories. What I do for a great friend may not be the same thing I do for a brand new friend. Does that make sense? And then I also have another category for best friends. What I do with the best friend is that's completely different than I'm going to treat an acquaintance. An acquaintance calls me when it's raining outside because they have a flat tire. I'll be like, call AAA. If it's my best friend, I'm going out in the rain.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's kind of the, how are we categorizing it? Because a lot of people end up putting people in the wrong category. This person in the friend category, and they shouldn't start out there. Everybody should start out in the acquaintance category. So we did July, August. This is September. Our dreams. Now, I will also tell you, September comes in. We also have Neptune going into retrograde around this time frame, around that September time frame. So Neptune is really going to be affecting our dreams and affecting how we communicate, what comes up, what are our kind of like those dream states, like how are we dealing with stuff. If it's in your dream, it's your subconscious trying to give you a little kick in the head, like, hey, think about this differently. than what you've been thinking. Does that make sense? It's like, how do we deal with this part? So let's go into October, manifestation. October is all about manifesting. And I will tell you, one of the cool things is in October, we have 2 eclipses. Now, one of the eclipses, and I'm trying to think, I think it's the one on the 14th, September 14th, we have a solar eclipse, if I'm not right, I may be wrong, but I'm and everything else, and it goes over the great state of Texas. So we are going to see it now in Houston area where we are. It is only going to be like 95% visible. So that's why I'm heading south. You have to to get in that line to be able to get the best pictures or whatever else. Like I need to go south. I know I need to go south and west of here. So that eclipse energy is going to show you what happens when we turn all the lights off. At first, you're like, I can't see anything, right? Okay. But eventually your eyes get accustomed to the dark, right? And then you can see everything. So you'll be able to see what's keeping you from manifesting what you really, really want. Okay. So let's go into November. November is all about your intentions. Now, I will tell you one of the best things about November is it has one of the best power days in the whole year. We got 11/11. That you're planning on bringing around 11/11. So 11 is the gateway or the doorway. What are you willing to walk in through? It doesn't mean like you need to go back and dig a hole and build a house or whatever else. Like, what are you willing to walk through? What are you setting your intentions to walk into? Okay. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can manifest this and amplify your manifesting in November. So we have 11/11. Now, how could we amplify 11/11? Like November 11th. So, you know what I'm saying? We're talking November 11th, right? So I could also pull this out on the clock. So if I started my meditation at 11 o'clock and I meditated through 11/11 for 15 or 20 minutes. So I manifested on November 11.
Yeah, that's intense.
Does that make sense? And you have that twice. You could do that 11 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock at night. So bring it on. Does that make sense? It's like, okay. So this is the last one, and this one is for December. And December is all about meditating because there is some interesting energy. We are going to have Mercury in retrograde over Christmas or close to that Christmas time frame that will be affecting certain people. So when we are around our family, sometimes we can trigger them. Sometimes no one can make you mad like your family can. You know what I'm saying? Like we can piss each other off in 5 seconds. Like, poof, it's done. So if I want to calm that energy down, because what I'm bringing into the house is what I want to take out of the house.
Right.
So if I'm meditating before I go to visit my parents or my grandparents or my friends or my family or whatever else, and just take that few minutes. Now, I will tell you probably the best, fastest meditation that you can do is take your dominant hand, either left or right, doesn't matter, whichever is your dominant hand, and you're going to put that hand on your belly button. And then you're going to breathe from your nose to your belly button. And I know you really can't breathe to your belly button. I'm not that insane, but you want to breathe so that that hand moves. So you want to and then I want to ask with me. Am I already mad because someone cut me off on the road? Am I already upset, or am I already like she got me some stupid bowl last year and am I bringing that into the house? Or am I thinking like, wow, I get to spend a great time with my friend, with my family. I get to visit for a while. And then when I'm ready to leave. Does that make sense? Like I'm going to set these healthy choices.
Right.
And so I'm going to enjoy the time that I have with them. And then when it's time for me to go, I'm ready to walk out. Okay. Any other questions you guys have? We're all good? Okay. Thank you guys. I'm so excited. Promo one more time, and Instagram, you are free to go. I will talk to y'all again next week. Now, next week, just so you know, I will be answering one question per person that logs in. I haven't done this in a couple of months. So You need to be logging in. You need to be working on your question. It needs to be one clear, concise question. And I will see y'all next week. This is silent.
Awesome.